Hey everybody, Run this 342 here with some Final Fantasy XIV gameplay, and this video is going to be specifically for all of you who want to tank or are trying to tank in the game, or those of you who are suffering as a tank. Very quick, the first thing you should do when you enter any dungeon or raid is put your tank stance on. We have the Paladin here. It starts as a gladiator and then it evolves into Paladin. So ours would be Iron Will. There you go, you have a tank stance, all your stuff will increase aggro, all of your attacks. So first things first, if you're taking a bunch of adds, you have cooldowns you have to use. These cooldowns aren't specifically just for the bosses. One is used mostly for bosses at higher level, which is to mitigate the tank buster, so you take less damage. So when you have a bunch of adds, please use your cooldowns. Your real boss is all the adds you're taking at once. If you pull 2 to 3 packs, you have to use your cooldowns. You're going to die, or the healer's going to run out of mana. Even though they have 9,000 mana, they're going to run out. Well, 10,000. So please, use your cooldowns. They're more important with the adds than the bosses. The only thing you'll have to use, like I said, is a tank buster. For the tank buster is some short, recast timed cooldowns. So for the Paladin, once you have your tank stance on and you're taking a bunch of adds, if you know someone, please share this video with them who only use a single target attacks when they have a bunch of adds on them. You should never do that, else all the other adds that you have are going to attack your teammates, primarily the healer, and the healer will perish. And then if the healer perishes, you all die. Come on. So what you have to do is simple. For the Paladin here, you get something called Total Eclipse at level 6. Please use it. Your first dungeon's at level 15. You have the skill. So as long as you have your tank stance on, which in this case it's the Iron Rail, you'll be using this until you get to the first boss. Just spam that. If you just spam that, you will not lose aggro on anything, unless you have some crazy DPS, but that should never be the case. Just spam that. When you get to level 40 as a Paladin, you'll get the combo skill, Prominence. So basically, you do your Total Eclipse, then you use Prominence. That's it, until you get to the first boss and you do your standard combos, 1, 2, 3. There's also another ability that you can use with Paladin, which inflicts a damage over time. I'm going to refer to that as the dot damage, which is Circle of Scorn. Also another great AoE that gives all of your adds a damage over time buff, a dot, which is perfect. And lastly, for the Paladin, what I'm going to explain is dealing with tank busters. Like I said in the beginning, you'll be using Rampart specifically, because all of them have Rampart, to mitigate damage from adds, packs of adds. If the going gets tough as a Paladin, you do have Sentinel, which increases the damage, well, reduces the damage you take by 30%, 10% more than Rampart. You could also use that. Or if your Rampart's on cooldown, use Sentinel. Simple. Now for tank busters, level 50, you get something called Shieldtron. Blocks incoming attacks. Looks like this. That has a short cooldown. It has a 5-second cooldown. It does use some of your Oath gauge, which you eventually get, but that's at level 50. You will be using that. So please use that. You also have Reprisal, which reduces the damage from adds and enemies, and bosses even, by 10%. If you have a bunch of adds together and you're using, you know, what I just told you, the Total Eclipse and your Prominence, and then you use your Circle of Scorn, if you're still taking a crap ton of damage, use Reprisal. It not only affects the target you hit, but everyone else around it. So it's like an AoE damage reduction skill. All tanks get this. So definitely something for you to use. Let's now go in, and we're going to change to the Warrior. You start as the Marauder, and you go to Warrior. If this whole class job upgrade has changed, I'm sorry. I have not played the beginning of the game for a very long time. I'm just going up, I'm not going down. So for the Warrior, if you're a Warrior at this point, or a Marauder, let's say you're a Marauder, you started the game, you like the axe, it looks cool, right? Eventually you get one that looks like this, right? And the first thing you do is what? Can you guess? That's right, your tank stance. Use your tank stance, very important. After you do your tank stance, what do? Your AoE for a bunch of adds, right? What's it called? It's called Overpower. It looks like that. You're going to spam that over and over again until you get to the first boss, and you'll do your specific 1, 2, 3 combo. Combo wombo. Do you use cooldowns for a bunch of ads? Absolutely. It's called Rampart. You get it at level 8. Now then, you're suffering more damage and you have Rampart. Did you use Reprisal? It could definitely help. Also, if the going gets tough and you're past level 38, or you're level 38, you gain access to Vengeance, which is probably the best skill you ever get as a defensive cooldown. Why? Because not only does it reduce your damage taken by 30%, which is 10 more than your Rampart, but the enemies that are hitting you take damage back, because you get a little reflect on it. Vengeance. Inflict a portion of sustained damage back to its source. Pretty good, right? Okay. So, once you're past, let's say, level 40, guess what? You get your combo for your AoE skill from Overpower. It's called Mental Tempest, and it looks like this. Use that. Just use this, and then use this. You'll be fine until the first boss, and then you do whatever you have to do. Now, let's say you are past level 56, and you're at the first boss, and you're taking a lot of damage. You could always use Raw Intuition, which is your small, recast timed cooldown. It increases your defense by 20%. You take reduced damage by 20%. So it's like Shieldtron, but better, because it reduces damage. Easy, right? Okay. Oh, and one last thing. Very pro tip here. You have something called Arm's Length. Supposedly, it's supposed to prevent knockbacks, but that's good for higher levels. In your lower levels, there's not really much of a knockback until you get to, like I said, higher level content, past 50. So you could use that for its second effect, which is it gives all enemies who touch you physically a slow for 20%. So their attacks will be a lot slower, which gives the healer a better chance of healing you so you don't die. Very, very important. It's called Arm's Length. It's a picture of an arm. Can't miss it. All melee type classes get this, and as well as the Bard and Archer. So yeah. Now let's say you went Dark Knight because you're feeling edgy, or because the expansion shows a Dark Knight. Okay, so Dark Knight here is outgeared. Hold on, there we go. So let's go in and see what you can do as a Dark Knight. And then lastly, we'll do the Gunbreaker. Pop quiz. I need you to tell me what's the first thing I do when I'm on a tank. You can pause the video and tell me. That's right. You put your tank stance on. Once your tank stance is on, what do you do next? You're trying to get a bunch of ads. Your healer says, big pools, right? Or your DPS say, big pools. Are you going to be scared and say no? Absolutely not. You're going to go in there, and you're going to use your AoE skill. What is it as a Dark Knight? Unleash. It looks like that. You're going to keep doing that until you hit the first boss. Just keep going. Are you taking a lot of damage from ads? What are you going to do? You're going to use cooldown. It's called Rampart. You get it at level 8. Definitely. You're taking more damage. It's killing you. Rampart isn't doing much, and your healer's gear is really bad. It sucks. And you feel like you should take less ads. Use Shadow Wall first. It reduces the damage you take by 30%. 10 more than Rampart. It looks like this. Pretty cool, right? So you keep doing that. And if you die still with all this going on, have you tried Reprisal? Reduces the damage you take by 10%. No? Did you use Arm's Length to slow the enemies down so the healer could probably heal you so you don't die? If you still die after all that, there's a big problem. And if you maintain aggro on everything and you use your cooldowns, it's not your fault. It's your healer's fault at this point. Or if the healer does not feel comfortable doing all the big pools and you do it anyways, now it's your fault for not listening. So, what do? If you die after using all these cooldowns, you're going to have to do smaller pools to compensate the party. The damage dealers may be fine with big pools, but if the healer can't heal you, you have to go slow. Okay? So besides that, you use all those things at level, let's say, 72. You get a combo called Stalwart Soul. It looks like this. That's your combo for your AoE, for your Unleash. Use it. Not only will it do, it'll do more damage because it's a combo, but it'll also fill up your gauge here so you can use other skills. Let's say Tank Buster hits you, right? You get something called the Blackest Night at level 70. It is probably the best skill you'll get as any tank. It will block all damage based off 25% of your total HP. Tanks have a lot of HP, people. This is great. The only drawback is it takes, I believe, mana. Yes, but you can always regain that as a Dark Knight. There are ways to regain your mana. But yeah, you have the Blackest Night as a tank buster. Use that when you're getting hit by strong boss attacks, or if a bunch of ads are hitting you and you use both your Shadow Wall and your Rampart, you could always use the Blackest Night in combination with one or the other. Because the total would be the amount that you take. The damage you'll take would be greatly reduced. And as well, you have Reprisal. What's cool about the Dark Knight is they also have magical defenses. Unlike just regular damage reduction, they also reduce magic damage. You have Dark Mind. Reduces magic damage you take by 20%. Looks like that. It's like you're putting an invisible cape. Harry Potter. Lastly, you have your Dark Missionary, which is an AoE, increasing your magical defense by 10%. It works on your whole party. And raid. Well, your raid party. So, use it. So, that is the Dark Knight. And lastly, since I have to leave because the Striking Dummy is harassing me now because I can't switch classes, let's go to Gunbreaker. You saw the gun class in the game. You're like, wow, that's so cool. It's like Final Fantasy VII, right? So, let's go to Gunbreaker here. And what's the first thing I do? You should know by now unless you skipped a bunch of my video. I don't appreciate that. So what do? That's right. Can you tell me? It starts with a T and it ends with an E. Oh, you mean the tank stance? That's right. Royal Guard. You have that on, right? Okay. What's the first thing you do? You have a bunch of ads. Big pools, big pools. That's right. You use your AoEs. And for them, it's called Demon Slice. You learn it at level 10. You have the skill. What's the combo? Level 40? Demon Slaughter? Guess what? You have the skill. I believe you start at level 50 as a Gunbreaker 60. That's what level I started as. So, yeah, you have those two combos. Use it. That's all you have to use until you get to the first boss. Then you use your standard combos. Now, Gunbreaker gets these charges here under Gauge. Level 30, you get Burst Strike. Does pretty good damage. Now, level 72, you get the AoE version. So once you use your Demon Slice and your Demon Slaughter, and you have a charge, you know what you can do? Faded Circle. It's another AoE with massive damage. It's perfect. Now, cooldowns. What's the first cooldown I'll use with a bunch of ads? Did you say it right? I didn't hear you. Oh, Rampart? That's right. You use Rampart. So you get it at level 8. Now, you're taking more damage, right? Paladin Gladiator, my gosh. The Gunbreaker here is quite special. He has something called Camouflage. You have the skill. Learned at level 6. Is this your tank buster? No, because look at the cooldown. It's 90 seconds. You're going to wait that long? No, you're not. So you're going to use this if you want to take less damage by 10%, and it increases your parry by 50. Looks like that. So you have Camouflage and Rampart. You can use either or. Still taking hits? Here's your big one, Nebula. Reduce damage taken by 30%. You learned this at level 30. Definitely need it. Did I mention you have Reprisal and Arm's Length? Definitely use those when you need it. You have a bunch of ads on you now. You're at like level 62 plus. You could give them a dot, an AoE dot called Bow Shock. Just like the Paladin, it'll do damage over time. Now lastly, your tank busters. What do you use? You use Camouflage, Rampart, and Nebula? You can, one at a time please. But you also have your real tank buster cooldown, Heart of Stone. Reduces damage you take by 15%. Cooldown, 25 seconds. You'll definitely need to use this. Now, what makes this job very special compared to all the other tanks? You could give this tank buster cooldown, Heart of Stone, to anyone else in your party. This would just have to be you. You could give it to your healer. You just target them and use the skill. They will gain it. Now, they also have another cooldown here called Heart of Light. Reduces damage, magical damage, taken by yourself and everyone else around you by 10%. it's actually pretty good when you're gonna get hit by a spell that's an AoE, like say Fire 2 or something like that from bosses or ads. Definitely worth using. So we mentioned the combos: your Demon Slice, your Demon Slaughter, and your Fated Circle. You know what else you have? You have Blasting Zone. You get this at level 80. Unfortunately, level 80. That doesn't sound right. Hold on. That doesn't sound right at all. It's called Danger Zone. That's it. You get it at level 18. It's an AoE. You have the skill. Use it. It's a frontal AoE, frontal cone AoE to all your ads. It's off the global cooldown, so you could use it anytime and any of your other skills at once. So, that's it for this video. I hope you learned something about tanking. First rule, always turn on your tank stance. You will need that, else your party's going to say tank stance. They're going to keep spamming it until you do. And you're going to wipe because you don't have it on, and everyone else is going to die. First, the DPS, then your healer. Second thing you do, when you have a bunch of ads and you're doing, quote, big pools, is you do your AoE skills. You have one at the beginning of your tank class when you're doing a dungeon. Use that one. When you get higher level, use the combo. Now you're taking hits, use a cooldown. The real boss for tanks are the ads, not the boss itself. Use your cooldowns on the ads. The healer will be working a lot more with the ads than with the boss. With the boss, it's only one target, and it's only hitting you. So the healer just has to focus on you, that's it. Well, if there's a bunch of ads, if you fail to get all aggro on everything, your party members are going to get hit, and your healer has to take care of them and yourself. So please use the AoE skills. But that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching. If you know someone who needs assistance with tanking or is afraid to tank, show them this video. I hope it allows them to tank properly and to increase their confidence. You shouldn't be afraid to tank in this game. It's really simple. They made it very simple and easy for everyone to do. This is just now the basics of tanking. This is not high rate tier tanking, tanking with 2 tanks in the party. This is just simple you and a regular dungeon run. 1 tank, 1 healer, 2 DPS. That's it. This is not related to trials or anything. Just dungeons. So show this to someone. You have a benefit of being a tank. You get insta-Qs. Not as instant as a healer, but you do get insta-Qs. So thank you all so much again for watching. I'm RunThisTree42, and I'll catch you guys next week on the next video. Take care.